Watch how this 1,000-year-old dirt trench defies modern droughts to pull a massive harvest out of bone-dry sand with zero modern irrigation. By the end of this video, you'll learn the exact trench geometry that forces bone-dry dirt and morning dew to grow massive, zero irrigation harvests, freeing your food supply from failing water grids. Modern agriculture pumps millions of gallons of water just to keep a single field alive. Water needs. We're conditioned to think massive yields require massive water volume. But thousands of years ago, indigenous farmers figured out a cheat code. They exploited the physical shape of the earth over the volume of the water. This is the secret to thriving in absolute deserts. By 2100 BCE, non-migrant cultures like the ancestral Puebloans and Hohokam in the American Southwest were already pulling massive harvests out of cracked, baked dirt. Groups like the Zuni historically built waffle gardens, sunken garden beds divided by raised clay walls that look exactly like a breakfast waffle, designed to trap every single drop of moisture in the pockets. Ancient Zuni waffle garden. Across the world, on the Spanish island of Lanzarote, farmers dig massive conical trenches, called gerias, into the black volcanic ash to grow grapes. Lanzarote gerias. These pits shield the vines from harsh winds and catch overnight dew. Master these shapes, and you bypass the modern grid entirely. As the historical record shows, success in agriculture enabled some Native Americans to live in communities that numbered in the thousands, as compared to their former lives as hunter-gatherers, in which their bands numbered only a few dozen. How does it actually work? Let's look at the engine of this zero-waste system: thermal mass. The Earth absorbs and bleeds out raw heat, acting exactly like a giant cast iron pan that tightly holds onto its temperature long after the stove is off. By digging a trench, you expose a lower, cooler layer of dirt. When the sun goes down, that trench bottom cools much faster than the flat surface above it. Cold air sinking? This sudden temperature drop creates a localized cold pocket that plunges past the dew point. The air drops to the exact threshold where it gets too cold to hold its water vapor. Just like the moment a cold soda can starts sweating in the hot sun. The trench forces the invisible moisture in the desert air to sweat out directly into your dirt. You are literally making water out of thin air. Meanwhile, those sunken walls perform another critical job. They kill aerodynamic conductance. That is a highly technical way of saying wind acts like a giant blow dryer, sucking all the water out of your plant's leaves. The sunken trench physically blocks the wind, which saves just as much water as pouring a bucket on the roots. But the exact same thermal physics that waters your plants at night can also brutally kill them before sunrise. To lock that hard-earned morning dew into the system, we have to look underground. Surface water in a desert evaporates instantly. To stop it, we emulate traditional Hopi dry farming. The trick is depth. We plant our seeds up to a foot deep, pushing the roots straight down to the capillary fringe. Deep subterranean moisture actively pulls upward toward the hungry roots. Picture the creeping damp edge on a paper towel right above a spill. Day 1. On day 1, you bury your seeds deep in pure sand. You don't clear the dry topsoil away. You use it as a physical mulch. That thick layer of useless-looking bone-dry dust acts like a heavy lid on a boiling pot, stopping the underground steam from escaping. As Wikipedia notes on the subject, dryland farming is associated with drylands, areas characterized by a cool, wet season, which charges the soil with virtually all the moisture that the crops will receive prior to harvest, followed by a warm, dry season. You charge the soil battery once during the rain, put the heavy sand lid on it, and walk away. Day 45. By day 45, the unseen biological reality is a massive root system thriving in permanently damp earth. Capillary action. Subscribe, please. But changing the geometry of the Earth introduces fatal risks. Remember how cold air sinks into the trench to create condensation? That sinking cold air pools up like an invisible swimming pool. On a freezing desert night, these sunken beds can become deadly frost pockets. If you plant at the wrong time of year, your trench will freeze your crops solid. And there's another threat. If you don't manage this closed loop perfectly, there is a slow, invisible killer that will eventually poison your dirt. When that trapped subsurface moisture slowly evaporates, it leaves behind concentrated salts. Over time, soil salinization builds up. It is exactly like boiling a pot of salt water until only a harsh chemical crust is left in the pan. Toxic salt crust. Add poor drainage to the mix, and a sudden storm can lead to catastrophic flash flooding that drowns your crops and buries the sunken beds under heavy desert silt. To fix this for ultimate off-grid independence, we upgrade the ancient trench with a modern permaculture hack, hugelkultur. Before we plant, we bury rotting wood at the very base of the trench. Wood sponge, dew collection, moisture absorption. By packing the bottom of the system with decaying logs, we engineer a massive underground biological sponge. When a flash flood hits, the wood instantly absorbs the excess water, stopping the roots from drowning. Then it holds that trapped dew indefinitely, keeping the soil perfectly hydrated and continuously flushing out the toxic salts. It becomes an unstoppable, self-watering machine. Post-harvest bonus tip: never waste the genetics. When you grow arid-adapted crops like southwestern maize, introduced from Mesoamerica and cultivated in the region since 2100 BCE, you are tapping into a plant that expects these exact drought conditions. Years of adaptation. Always save the seeds from your most dehydrated, resilient survivors. And here's the wild part. Archaeologists spent years thinking the ancient desert rock mounds in the Negev, called Tulaylat El Anab, were massive dew collectors designed to do exactly this. Instead, Nabatean farmers were actually just clearing the soil to aggressively increase runoff straight into their engineered channels and terraced wadis. If you want another ancient biological hack that unplugs you from the industrial grid, watch our breakdown on the 2,000-year-old polyculture pond next. By understanding the raw mechanics of the earth, this 1,000-year-old dirt trench captures invisible morning dew, forcing bone-dry soil to grow massive harvests without a single drop of modern irrigation.